Moving to the UK now, and the results of Thursday's elections, Prime Minister Theresa May is set to visit Buckingham Palace to seek permission from Queen Elizabeth II to form a new government. Poll results failed to produce a clear winner. With nearly all the votes counted, May could end up with 12 fewer seats than when she called the election earlier this year. The opposition Labour Party, led by Jeremy Corbyn, has performed far better than opinion polls indicated. Brexit negotiations are due to start in just 10 days' time, and it is unclear what the UK's position will be. From the EU's perspective, the polls upset means a possible delay in the start of the talks and an increased risk that negotiations will fail. Now, Theresa May's failure to win a parliamentary majority leaves the country with what's known as a hung parliament. There are 650 seats in the House of Commons. A party needs to win at least 326 to secure an overall majority. Hung parliaments are relatively rare. There have been only 5 since the end of the 19th century. The last one was in May 2010 when a coalition government was formed between the Conservatives and Liberal Democrats. This time around, May's Conservatives will try to form a government either as a minority or in coalition with other parties. She will then go to the House of Commons to see if this government can survive a motion of confidence. If it fails, she will be expected to hand in her resignation. Then Jeremy Corbyn, leader of the main opposition Labour Party, would be invited to form a government. If no government can gain confidence, Parliament could be dissolved and another election will have to take place. Let's get more insight from CGTN's Dan Williams, who joins us live from London. Dan, it is now clear that the snap election has resulted in a hung parliament. So what happens next?
Yes, as you mentioned there at the beginning, this is a developing story. It's been a very dramatic, chaotic morning, as you can imagine, here in London. But it appears that in the next hour and a half that Theresa May will then head to Buckingham Palace, where she'll ask permission from the Queen in order to form a government. Despite the fact that it's a hung parliament, the Conservative Party ending with 318 seats, she appears as though the Conservative Party can count on the support of the DUP. They have 10 seats. That brings up the total then to 328, surpassing the 326 number in order to govern. So that is currently the developing prospect, but as you can imagine, this has been a dramatic morning. We've seen huge gains from the Labour Party, very dramatic gains from the Labour Party, many of the Conservative ministers being wiped out. We've also seen the obliteration of the UK Independence Party, and certainly over the first few hours of the morning there was real confusion as to what this may mean, and each seat really was very much in the end proven to be very important, given that now those 10 seats from the DUP means that the Conservative Party now have the chance to form a government. So, as I say, an incredible morning, but it would appear as though there will be some government, albeit very much weakened from previous, from the 2015 government, where there was a 17-seat majority for the Conservative Party.
And Diana, how is this outcome expected to impact the Brexit negotiations slated to start soon?
Yeah, well, this was, as you said, this was a Brexit election, and clearly Theresa May, when she called the snap election back in April, it was all about trying to strengthen her hand going into these very difficult Brexit negotiations. At that stage, the Conservative Party were way ahead in the polls, and certainly there was a feeling that the potential landslide victory for the Conservative Party. So even though now that there appears to be a government that will be formed, it is significantly weakened heading into those negotiations and more complicated. It's yet to be fully emerged exactly as to what the conditions would be for the DUP heading into these Brexit negotiations as well. Added to that, the likes of the small business community have called for these negotiations to be delayed. These negotiations are expected to start in just 10 days' time. So real question marks over how that will move forward. And there's also question marks as to whether this was an election that has called almost for the rejection of a hard Brexit. Again, all of this will need now to be considered as the United Kingdom enters these Brexit talks, which of course will both be very delicate and very complicated. So as significantly weakened, if you like, going into those very important Brexit negotiations.
All right, Dan Williams, live for us there in London. Many thanks, Dan.